Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. So for this one we're going to do another Scottish beer, and this is a brewery that are actually very local to me, but I've never ever tried any of their stuff before, and it's actually quite hard to get a hold of their bottles in different bottle shops and things like that. I never actually came across this until I went to Glasgow last week. So for this one we're going to go to Larbert and have a taste of a beer from Tryst Brewery, and this is their Double IPA, and as you can see on the label there's a nice Highland cow there. So to the Americans that are watching this, a lot of Americans don't believe me that this is a cow. They all think it's a buffalo. It's a Highland cow, it's no a buffalo. So just to clear that up. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a very kind of brief history of the brewery, just a minute or two. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. The brewery website's in the description for you below, along with a link to my other reviews that hopefully I can add from these guys in the fairly near future, now that I know where to get their beer. So anyway, Tryst Brewery was founded by John McGarva after taking redundancy from his job, and he'd previously been a kind of homebrew enthusiast, but then he decided when he was made redundant to become a full-time brewer. So he opened the Tryst Brewery in 2004 in Larbert in a small warehouse near the train station. It is literally about 2 or 3 minutes walk away if you get off the train. But they use a very small 10-barrel brewing plant which they actually bought from the Berkeley Brewery in Gloucestershire, and most of their beers are named after local landmarks, and they're available quite widely in good craft beer pubs throughout Edinburgh and Glasgow. And that would explain why I've never come across them before, because obviously the last year I've been away travelling in Australia and stuff, and then when I was back home I was based in Aberdeen in Scotland, and when I was home it was never during the week, so I was never able to get a hold of their beer from the brewery and stuff. So it's cool to actually finally be able to review one of their beers. Just to list a few of the other beers you can get from these guys, you've got the Raj IPA, the Brockville Pale, Brockville Dark, Carindale IPA, the Buckled Wheel, the Blythen, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one correctly, Drover's 80 Shilling, which is an old Scottish style beer, Stars and Stripes, which I believe was an IPA, Zetland Wheat Beer, which is a German style wheat beer, and another one, Karen Oat Stout. And obviously with the name Brockville, the guy who does this, John McGarva, is obviously a Falkirk fan, and I'm a Pars fan, so there's a bit of a rivalry there, but if his beer's good I'll let him off with being a Falkirk fan. But anyway, to tell you about this beer itself, it's a 7.4% double IPA. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little quick look at the artwork on this one. As I said, there's a Highland cow on there. It's no a buffalo. As you can see, nicely kind of presented. Quite simple actually. It says selected American hops combined with East Lothian barley. So it has the address for the brewery there, Tryst and Larbert. And it says on the side, serve upright, serve slightly chilled, and pour with care and leave the natural sediment in the bottle. Optimum serving temperature is 12 degrees Celsius. So quite simply, Champion Ales, brewed in Scotland, 7.4%, 3.5 units. And it has the brewery website on the side there as well. So yeah, it looks really nice. Plain bottle cap on this one. So without further ado, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting here. Not much smoke coming off this guy in the opening. It is probably just about the right temperature, because I've had it out the fridge for a wee bit while I've been preparing the camera and stuff. I've had a little bit of bother with the camera today, and yeah, but we've managed to get it going. So there you are. I think the sediment, I've just left the last little bit of this in the bottle, so I'll maybe try it with and without the sediment, so we'll see how that goes. But as you can see, it's actually poured quite a nice... It's actually quite a murky beer. It doesn't have any head on it. There's a lot of sediment in that though, so you can see just the little particles kind of floating around, but there's no head come out of that apart from a few bubbles. And I did see that a few people had actually said that on Rate Beer and Beer Advocate and things. But as you can see, it's poured a nice kind of I don't know how you would describe that actually, a kind of nice strong brownish amber colour. If I hold it up to the light, I'll just try and bring the light over a little bit more so you can see the colour of it. But as you can see, it's a nice sort of actually reddish amber colour. But yeah, no head on this guy if I put my fingers behind it. Not transparent in the slightest. Not even really any visible carbonation kind of going up towards the bottom of the surface. Just a lot of little sediment particles of it kind of visible in there. But it is getting a little kind of creamy layer just forming over the top. So let's give it a wee smell and see how we get on. So you can smell. There's actually quite a bit of bread in there that's coming out. It smells quite, it's got a nice kind of caramel and bready sort of biscuity malt base coming out of it. But when you actually leave it to sit, if you smell it from a bit further away, and when I was taking it out of the bottle, you can actually smell quite a nice orangey and slightly grapefruit kind of fruit character coming out of it. And if you kind of take it in a little bit more deeply, you're getting a little bit of the kind of dusty sort of pine resins in there. I would love to know what hops are in it, but their website, at the time that I was making the brewery notes for this video, the website was down, so they're obviously kind of redoing it. And I couldn't find the Facebook page either, actually, so I've no idea what the hop and malt base in this brewery is, apart from East Lothian barley. But you can smell the barley in it as well, actually. You can definitely pick that up if you're sugaring it about, but there is a definite sort of dusty pine resin element to it, perhaps a little earthy hop character as well. But there is some nice, definitely juicy orangey fruits, and you can pick up just a little of the sort of sourish grapefruit notes as well. Sorry, but it's quite an interesting aroma in this one. So we'll give it a taste without the sediment, and then I'll pour the rest of it in. So this is the Double IPA with the Highland Cow from Tryst Brewery in Larbert. Cheers. It's really interesting that it actually doesn't have any carbonation at all. It's really odd. Yeah, there's absolutely no carbonation in that, which is very unusual. I've never had a beer like that at all. So you have a nice, with the flavour, you've actually got you can taste the barley in it. It's quite an earthy mouthfeel on this one. Around the edges of the tongue and in the middle, you're sort of getting a little bit of a slightly darker caramel, kind of roasted caramel flavour coming across this one, but you've got that kind of cereally and sort of spicy barley grain character just kind of blanketing the tongue. But when you actually have the beer in your mouth, you're tasting the sort of fruits off of it as well, but that kind of fades, and it really, into the aftertaste, it's definitely that sort of barley flavour that's sitting there with a kind of caramelly and slightly biscuity malt base as well. But yeah, as you let it progress, you're actually getting a good bit of juicy character from the hops around the edge of the tongue there. You're getting a nice kind of juicy grapefruit, you're getting the nice kind of tangy orange as well, and that you get that little oily bubble that just comes towards the front of the palate. But there is a definite kind of resiny, sort of piney element as well, but that kind of gives way, and it mainly is a sort of earthy hop character that kind of lingers on the edge of the tongue, and it's that kind of cereally spice, kind of barley flavour that sits right in the middle of the palate, but around the edges of the tongue it's definitely a sort of earthy character that comes out of this guy, although there are fruity flavours in there, but they don't linger about too much. Yeah, the fruit character is definitely there. It's nice juicy oranges, nice grapefruit, but there is a little bit of a kind of almost vinous character to it as well, like sort of winey flavour. It definitely has that kind of element to it as well. Like a double IPA, it's quite unusual for that style, I would say. Yeah, it has. You're getting the grapefruit and the oranges, but there is a definite kind of grape vinous character to this one as well. A sort of winey flavour, which is quite unusual, but as I say, the lingering element of the flavour really is the kind of earthy barley, the earthy hop character, sorry, and the sort of almost roasted barley element with a little bit of caramel and stuff underneath. In terms of the mouthfeel, definitely mid-bodied. It's got no carbonation in it whatsoever. It's a very easy drinking beer, that. But it's also very wet and very oily as well. But it's got a good bit of kind of bitterness that lies there on the tongue from the barley as well, and a little bit of the earthy hop character too. The one thing, what I would say with this beer is that it's definitely quite an interesting one for the style. I'll just put the last of the bit in with the sediment and we'll have another wee taste of it, but it's very interesting for the style. I'm not sure whether it really does kind of fit the double IPA style, but albeit you get some very unusual beers, and this definitely is one of them, so give it a go. Yeah, I'm not getting any carbonation from this guy whatsoever. And that's probably why it doesn't have a head on it actually when you pour it, which is quite unusual. But now that the sediment's in it, I'm more of a kind of bready character with this one. Yeah, the hops actually are becoming just a little bit more prominent as I'm going through this, so you're getting a little bit more of the grapefruit and orange, but the most prevalent component, or prominent component, sorry, of the fruity flavour is a kind of grapey, winey character. But as you put the sediment in it, you're getting more of the kind of spiciness, the sort of cereal spice from the East Lothian barley that's in there. You get a little earthy hop character around the edge of the tongue, and you're getting that little caramel, slightly dark roasted caramel flavour on the tongue as well. So I mean, overall, it's quite an interesting beer. It's not like a double IPA that I've had before, but it is definitely interesting. So if you like something that tastes your palate, then I would definitely give this a go. I would say that this one does need a little bit of carbonation to kind of if it wants to be a double IPA, it does need a little bit more carbonation to take it more into the style, but it's almost a little bit more, it has a bit of sour beer character to it as well. It definitely has that element to it. So it's almost like a kind of hybrid between a double IPA and a sour beer, and it's almost like it's kind of just crossing over that way. But I would say it definitely needs a little bit of carbonation, but then it's a good beer just now, but I think if you add a little bit of carbonation to it, it would definitely be a fantastic beer. But these guys have won many awards, so I'm sure there are other beers in the range as well that I would really like. But this one is definitely one that's quite interesting, so be prepared if you try this beer to have something a little bit different. But it is nice, but be prepared for a kind of more sour beer than a double IPA, I would say. So anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews, please let me know in the comment section if you have tried this beer below. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and hopefully I can do some more reviews from Tryst Brewery in the future. I've heard that their stout is meant to be a really awesome beer, and one of the IPAs, the Transatlantic IPA, is meant to be awesome as well. So hopefully I can get a hold of that for you at some stage. This is definitely an interesting one that I'd recommend you try, so definitely go out and buy it if you do get the chance. So I thank you again for watching beer reviews, and please like, subscribe, share, comment, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will catch you soon with my next beer review, and there will be more from Tryst soon. Cheers!